Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Pronago here, talking all about Cause Monarchy. We've got Newt versus Evil Neblime, that's ArbuzBudesh, don't worry, and it's going to be a TVZ. I'm excited to bring this one to you. We got Newt down here in the bottom left of Radium, a green Terran. ArbuzBudesh on the top right is... I actually don't know what this color is. I guess I'll say salmon, but it was bronze. Bronze Zerg. Salmon is definitely more red. That was the closest color I could think of at the time. Ladies and gentlemen, Cause Monarchy is a humongo conversion of Starcraft 1. It basically turns it into a completely different game. We got Zerg harvesting gas straight from the geyser. We got the fact that you can make, everything without supply. We got all sorts of cool things. So definitely check us out, causemonarchy.com. And if you want to support the project, you can go to our coffee page linked in the description. And also, one of the other things that you can do is go to a little page called streamlabs.com/pronago if you want to start funding more show match action. We got to pay back some show matches before we can get some more action underway with StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 pros being interested in participating. I hate that gas is slightly less efficient in this map. It is. It is slightly less efficient, isn't it? Ever so slightly. Just because of diagonals. LOL. Well, the best part is that Newt doesn't care because he's building only units which require minerals. That blue map where everything's placed weird, I can only imagine. Well, no idea, actually. No clue. Blue map. I'm assuming that means Twilight map. Maybe he's talking about Brainstorm. Wink. Radium has been around for a hot minute. It's a map by BDB. It's a map that is basically asteroid impacts on Axiom, is the original version, right? Axiom. And so it's an overhaul of that. Pretty neat concept for a refresh. You know, if people do refresh their maps, I hope that they make like massive changes to the visuals. I think BDB kind of did that with Germination. It's seen very many, versions and renditions down the years. I guess I could say years, right? It has been years since Germination was first added, I believe. So shout out that. Shout out that guy. That BDB. So Newt is still harvesting only minerals. He is still going for probably some kind of, expand follow-up here. The Zethicors are prancing about, and there's the command center, the ministry rather, for Newt. I was just watching some ASL, so people talking about command centers instead of ministries. Yeah, that's going to hit me. Quasilisks are on the way for our evil Neblime ArbuzBudesh. And we'll see if he can make a run by and do anything over here. He's kind of just dancing around, keeping him interested. We'll see what those Zethicors do in the future. Probably disperse and get them in different locations. Newt finally starting to harvest Vespene gas. I guess that means that the third worker is a little bit more efficient on maps like these. And while I'm sure that there are always going to be players who complain about that, like we saw in this particular case, that does have a meaningful difference, right? You can correct for it by putting a third worker down, and, whether that's variants that we actually want to have in the game is open for community discussion, but it is something you can deal with. So it's always interesting to me to see what strategies people end up using and developing under such circumstances. Maybe Newt's mineral-only style is going to be a bit more called upon in the early stages of the game as a result. Maybe Zergs will go hatch first more often. I laugh because, unless you're a StarCraft 2 pro just starting off playing Zerg, I don't think you're going to go hatch first many times. But I still can dream. One Zethicor is melted, liquefied, pelted with bullets, perforated. Third stockade, we got that ministry thrumming down here for Newt. And he's starting to filter in some Cyprians. An Ovaleth is done. Now, likely go to fly a bunch of Zethicors into the main base. Yeah, that's what these 6 are parked over here for at the 9 o'clock. Prospectively. Supposedly. Double Larvosk. And we'll see what Evil Neblime wants to do here. Arbuz is liable to take a third base in the next few minutes here. Unless he displays something completely different with a tech node switch. He's actually going to go for the Vornath upgrade into the Calcure Lake. So that's interesting because it does mean that he can make Calculisks if we end up seeing any air units coming. We'll suppose that's what they're for. He could also just decide to make a lot of Quas and try to abuse the fact that his opponent doesn't have Savants and doesn't have Shamans to try to avoid the powerful amount of bounce damage. And he is making a couple more Quasilisks, so there is that. Just as the move out is happening, we do indeed have the drop at the extremis. There is one Harakan standing here. almost like he's expecting this, but the Zets could actually do it. I don't think it was seen, to be honest, but yeah, the Cyprians are going to make short work of this drop, I feel like. Unfortunate there. And, you know, the attack is also going to come in at a similar time, although it is Hurrican's leading the charge with no fire support. Actually conceding the ramp, but there's not that much firepower over here for Arbuz. Instead, he's going to rely on some supportive cells and defensive cells here. Circuit on the way. We've got the Khaz'trith on the way as well. That's coming. You better believe that's coming. And we've got multi-targets happening back here with the Mavericks. I don't think Newt has seen that structure too much. So his front line is devastated. Absolutely annihilated, in fact, by all of those circuits. And, well, he does break down the army, but he has no recourse of actually trying to break that position. Starpad is on the way. Dropping can help. A second Starpad as well. Oh! You know, if he goes Wraith here, that's not the most terrible thing. Maybe we will see something here, but look at that. I think it was probably scouted that a Starpad exists, right, by those Zets. Maybe not. I actually, maybe I'm a bit more... Maybe I feel like that's not true, the longer I think about it, because the Zets have pretty poor sight range. But overall, the fact that Arbuz is preemptively making a Spraith here is kind of interesting to me. All right, Cyprians are pummeling those poor Quas into the dirt. Well, I guess there's no dirt here. Into the middle. Their third base is being set up, unbeknownst to Newt, right underneath his nose, actually. And 11 Lyrilisks are on the way, so we'll see what the Zerg can do to bail themselves out of this position. Third base for Newt, as he recognizes he's unlikely to break Arbuz's spot anytime soon. He does not have any mech units. He cannot deploy Savants to try to steal the attack speed away from the circuits. He also cannot go into, you know, mech and start making, like, phalanx or anything like that, so... He could choose to do those things, but he's not doing them, and so therefore we must assume the mass drop strategy of just kind of doom-dropping the main base might be his selected option. He's actually being pulled away from the containment that he's got, and in doing so, he might have spotted the hatch on the spot there, but the problem is that the Cyprians are just getting fully surrounded and absolutely stomped on. Most of the Lyrilisks ended up staying alive, therefore we can only assume there's going to be a whole lot more Zerg where that came from. And unfortunately, those Trojans are going to be doing absolutely nothing. I guess he could try to, like, fly 4 Trojans in vision and then have Arbuz chase him down. But instead, the anchors are going to be made. The Ministry is complete at the third base. Both players technically do have a third base, but I have a feeling Arbuz is going to saturate his first. It's already lifted as the army sees it doing so. And we are going to see some Nathakors presumably turn into Calculisks soon. Arbuz has the money for it. He is curiously taking his sweet time to do so. He wanted the Iris first. Okay. So tier 2 on the way for our Zerg. And suddenly, just like that, with the army break and the third base being set up without Newt noticing, Arbuz is in a really commanding position. He's got his extra Vespene income. He's capping his ridge in the third base. He's got a very commanding position on the map. This should be a really good, solid spot for him to be in. Whereas Newt, similar in terms of worker count, he's been steady on that, but he does need something to leverage into a third base. Triple stockade added to his already quintuple stockade. Octuple. I think that's how you would say that anyway. I think after, like, sextuple for 7 people... Or no, that's for 6, and septuple is 7. So yeah, I guess octuple. Nonuple? Nonine. I don't know how you would say 9. Upple. 9-upple. There you go. But yeah, we do have a lot of stockades, is the bottom line. After you get to a certain point, you just stop remembering all of those Greek roots or whatever they are. Spire, okay. Hey, somebody was talking about why the mutas still exist in the game. I wonder if Arbuz is going to show us. Spire on the way. And also the Zerkish Shroud. Fourth base coming. Mason trying to scout out where the enemy is. There's some defenses, but not a whole lot. Arbuz actually is going to be pressuring with the Calculisks, and there's not really any easy way for Newt to deal with this, as most of his army is in Trojans right now. So he pulls his Masons away. He's lost maybe 8 of them already. That was actually his whole worker lead. So he's going to go ahead and try to get counter-eco damage done. He's got Cyprians attempting to navigate, allegedly. There's a lot of Zerg here, and I don't think you actually want to make landfall on top of them. Although maybe while they're morphing, it might be a better possibility. But it does look instead that Newt is going to snap the neck of the natural here. And the Zerg move out is happening at around the same time, so this could favor our Terran. The Zeth drop did nothing. This one represents a significantly much more powerful investment. Yeah, the whole Zerg army is very well out of position. Arbuz will have to deal with a couple of Hurricanes in his natural in one way, and Doom dropping the tech nodes over here. We got 3 Protathlors coming. You know, if Newt knows what's good for him, he's going to snipe that Spire and then take out the Iris after. The Hurricanes have basically taken care of all of those poor workers in the natural, and there goes the Iral Iris. What a brutal neck snap there. Still plenty of Cyprians here. He can be somewhat cost efficient with the army. He's got all of his Trojans out, which is going to make dropping a lot easier later. And by golly, by God, we have a full wipe after all, but a lot of workers went down. Tier 2 went down. The Ovaleth comes in here to see all the stockades. We don't have Tier 2 for Newt, and his third base is still not operational. So, despite everything, obviously Arbuz lost a lot of workers, but he actually has had a superior economy for a longer period of time. And Newt has... He's got okay saturation in a few places, but he definitely needs to get to harvesting over here at the third base, and he needs to get to defending. Now, he's made 28 Cyprians. Maybe that is enough, in fact, to step to what the Zerg has. I guess we're going to have to find out soon. No defenses over here, no anchors, no watchdogs. Starting to bank out that Vespene. And here we go. The initial engagement doesn't look super good for Arbuz. He wants to try to go for some kind of surround. You can see him split his army quite nicely in chunks. Protathlors are going to help engage from a distance, but there's only a few of them. And there we go. Big surround comes in. The Lyrilisks doing their best. Well, he's actually going to be able to break through on multiple fronts here. The Maverick reinforcements are going to be very effective at mopping up the last of what Arbuz has. And that army might actually end up favoring our Terran player. Normally, when you see an army wipe, it does not do that. But look at this. He rebuilt the Spire before his Iral Iris was destroyed, saw the writing on the wall. Now he's making 10 Protathlors. I don't think in isolation that's going to be enough to do anything, but if he can get enough of a meat wall in front of them, the Protathlors could start to snipe away. Atlas is on the way. Looks like maybe range is king in Arbuz's mind. He's not too interested in crowd control. He just wants to see what he can do with the Protathlors alone. Vorv's on the way. Yeah, this does look like it could be a pretty critical engagement here. If Newt decides to go for the attack, well, he's got his Trojans ready to load up his whole army. He could do that. Now he's going to try to get in the face of the Protathlors. They can't really micro back the same way that you'd like to with something like a Maverick. That's for sure. Running him down, and he spots the Spire as well. He's going to finish off the last of the flankers. He's got more Mavericks and Cyprians on the way. Newt looks like he's very much on track to win this game here, based off of his drop shenanigans. After a pretty solid performance from Arbuz in the mid-game, he's going to end up dropping the Spire almost assuredly. Instead, Newt's kind of been bit by the bug. He wants to go all the way back, and now the Khaz'trith is empowering the army. You really can't be dealing with that, my friend. Now instead, he'll go after some worker kills. He's got reinforcements. Never mind, those are just Trojans. Body blocked by the Protathlor. He just wants to kill the Droleth, that's all. Well, he's making a 4th Ministry behind this. He's got Maverick Cyprian in spades. His Atlas is done. What does he want to do? Captaincy. Well, we're going to see how he wants to pivot away from this. I'm a little bit worried that he squandered the opportunity to kill the Spire with impunity, and I'm sure Arbuz thought that was going to happen. And now, because of that, you know, we still have some Tier 2 Zerg on the field. Because just because you lost the Iral Iris doesn't mean you can't use the Tier 2 Tech Node. Now, we do have a drop once again kicking up. Reinforcements slowly pooling. The anchors are all unloaded. It will be some time before this drop gets spotted, but if it sort of expends itself on the 4th base, that's not that useful compared to, you know, sniping some more critical infrastructure. In fact, it does look like Newt... I don't think... Oh, it finishes just in the nick of time, so Arbuz should have seen that. His army isn't actually responding to it just yet, though, so I don't think he clocked it. I was going to say Newt might just be going after the main base, which, you know, hell yeah, makes sense. He can try to knock out some of this. Ironically, there's not that much tech over here, but killing the Calcure Lake will still cause some problems. Sentinels are being constructed, by the way, at least one of them. And I think this drop is going to be good for killing just about everything here. Man, good times. I remember when Newt was playing TVZ against Neblime during his championship run of Acropolis #1. And it was amazing to me Oh no, I guess that, yeah, that was Acropolis one. It was amazing to me to see how Newt didn't realize that Cyprians their bullets were blocked by the hatch until like he tried to cheese with them in one game, and it kind of backfired. Well, it looks like it's working just as intended now, although maybe not in this case. The Zoryus are feasting, man. Don't miss that rally. But he's still going to snipe the Patros got the third base. That does leave Arbuz with, you know, a base that's not saturated for number 4, and he has reset his workers over there. Calcure Lake Alpha node is done. The Apex node, rather. He still doesn't kill that Spire, but that's all right. We can forgive him this time. Apostles are out. Captaincy units, Strigas. Man, they're coming in. Coming in hot. Mason transfer over to base number 4 for Newt. Our Terran player has a dominant economy. A lot of mineral bank. Hasn't been making Mavericks or Hurricanes or anything, so can't really use it right now. Madcaps, Heracles, the likes would definitely be possible. Now he's adding a wall of Hurricane, which makes a lot of sense. 2 Sentinels aren't really going to be that much to deal with when it comes to the Protathalors. They do outrange them when you factor in the moves over here, right? The cliff advantage. But, you know, they'll be all right. It'll be something, a redoubt to fall back to. Now, Arbuz cannot afford to trade at bare minimum cost efficiency. Arbuz needs to be massively, like, efficient with his army. His economy is in the dumps right now. Apostles are on the field, but that's not too bad versus Zerg. You can kind of snipe them with the Protathalors, especially when they're out like that. In fact, I don't think Arbuz is going to need to snipe that one. It just kind of automatically got acquired. The engagement coming in now. The Hurricane reinforcements are going to be proving absolutely catastrophic for Arbuz, as all of his Zoryus are split asunder, rended by the armor. The Cyprians penetrate them with ease. Strigas and Hurricanes are going to overwhelm the Protathalors, and I think the writing was on the wall there for a little bit, but Newt is going to take Arbuz out, and that, my friends, is an exciting Game 1. Yes, that's right, Game 1. The score is on your screen because there is a second replay, so why don't you join us tomorrow or whenever I upload that video for that second replay. And if you want to be the change to see in the world, you can donate on that Streamlabs link in the description to boost that bar up and get us started on a new goal. I would much appreciate it. Thank you, and GG.